Hey guys, I'm Shanoy. Welcome again. So I wanted to hop on quickly to talk a bit about some things related to your Chevening scholarship applications because I know the deadline is looming and many people are on the last lap. This will not be a video about tips for writing your essay. There are several of those out there. But what I will say is something that can help you in that respect because I wanted to focus more on limiting beliefs or things. I mean, you're writing the essay now and there are things you're probably thinking will disqualify you or put you in a lesser position or a less likelihood of receiving a Chevening scholarship. And I wanted to just come on and to give some assurance to someone who is at this place and who's thinking that several different factors may be preventing them or will be preventing them from having a shot at a Chevening scholarship. Again, these views are my own. They do not represent those of the Chevening Secretariat and should not be seen as such. So as I've gone along, different people have been asking me specific things, and it made me realize that there's a gap there in terms of what people know to be true or what they think will in fact limit them from actually getting their Chevening scholarship. One of the key things or that I've heard lots of times is, people ask about their age. They feel like my age is going to stop me from getting a Chevening scholarship. So I'll hear people say, oh, but aren't they more likely to select someone who is younger? Or what if I'm a little older, etc.? Now, one of the great things about Chevening scholarships is that there's no upper age limit. What that means is that they have a lower age limit, but the rest is really based on the points that you have made. It's based on your qualifications, it's based on your objective, it's based on your program of study and how it will be helping you to advance your career goals and also the goals that you have for your country when you return home. So again, as a Chevening scholar, I guess I would qualify more as what persons would call a more mature candidate. And in the same way, of course, you would have probably thought initially, oh, all my classmates are going to be younger and that sort of thing. I was pleasantly surprised, though, that once I began my Chevening journey, that there were in fact other people who were at very advanced stages in their lives. So I wanted to come on to just use that as a reassurance to someone out there who is on the last stage, already doubting themselves before they even submit the application, that their age is going to be a deterrent. And so rest assured, your age shouldn't be a deterrent. In fact, your age and your experiences that you have should be a motivating factor, and it's lots of those perspectives and experiences that you can bring into your application process to say this is what you now know to be true. These are some of the gaps you have recognized and how you can move on to help to address some of these gaps. A second thing from age is stage. And what I mean by stage is lots of people career stage. You're like, oh, I'm advancing in my career, I'm at this point in my career and I kind of don't want to shift. So they're kind of on the fence. You're writing your application and you're still worrying if it is that you will get the scholarship because you're at a particular point in your career. So we all know by this that Chevening asks for at least 2 years of work experience. In the same way, there's no upper limit. So it's not like this saying, oh, if someone has 10 years of work experience, they're going to be less likely. So in fact, I'll tell you a bit about my story because I've been doing development communications for well over a decade when I applied for the Chevening scholarship. And I had recently made the switch to entrepreneurship as well. And in making the switch to entrepreneurship, I was at a point where I was also hesitant. So I was applying, I wanted to do the program of study, but I also wanted to be building out my client base. And I'd started attracting clients and I was worried about the phase where I was. And I kind of didn't want to leave, even though I wanted to go, if you understand what I mean. And I remember, someone put it in perspective for me that Chevening scholarships aren't just about the academic pursuits. It is also about the network that you will have access to and the value of that network and how it will help you in not just your individual, but your collective career pursuits. So for someone who is out there thinking, oh, I'm at a particular stage in my career, I doubt that they will accept me. I just want you to know that your career stage, should not be a deterrent. In fact, as well, on the matter of career stage, a few persons have been asking me things about career shifts or pivots. So they're like, oh, I would have studied economics, for example, for my undergrad, but now I want to go and make a shift to, say, sports management, for example. And they're worried because they have somehow thought, oh, the Chevening Secretariat is going to think this is diverting too far away from where I want to be. And I remember something that stood out in my interview. I was asked, what will the Chevening Scholarship mean for me? Because for some people, it's a continuation of their career path. So someone may be vested in climate change, for example, and so taking on the Chevening Scholarship, their program of study, everything they do will go towards their dreams and goals around climate change. For someone else, it may be a career pivot. For me, in my application, it was a bit of both because I had been doing communication for a number of years. I'd started doing development communication. I had pivoted to focusing on development communication a lot in the workspace. And so when I decided to do my program of study around intercultural communication, I saw how it could complement the work that I had done in both direct communication and also development communication. And so, for the person who is out there now writing your essay, pondering at the last minute, oh, is this too far off? Just know that sometimes there is real value in making bold choices. Just be prepared to explain why it is that you wish to divert from what you have probably known all along, what you've studied all along, to what may be seen as a new area. And on that point as well, I wanted to say something about subject choices because I get it a lot. People are asking me, oh, is it true that Chevening is more likely to pick people who are into finance or people who are into law or people who are into media? And I would say not so at all. In my year in particular, we had people who were in the dramatic arts. It seemed to have been a new area, but that person would have been able to go in and would have been able to ideate and share what it is that they could gain from their program of study and what they could in turn bring back to their home country. In this year, for example, I think there's a fashion designer as a part of the Chevening Scholarship cohort. I mentioned just these two to let persons know that there's no hard and fast rules in terms of the kinds of candidates that can move on and become successful as a Chevening scholar. So don't be so concerned about your subject choices and whether or not Chevening will think that this is an area that they are interested in. Again, look at how it is aligned with your personal career pursuits, look at how it is aligned with the needs of your country, and then be prepared to defend and highlight why you deserve to become a Chevening scholar. And so those are 3 points. And another point I wanted to look at is parenthood. So when I mentioned stage as well, apart from career stage, it's also life stage. So there are many people who, based on where you are in your personal relationship, some persons would have probably just gotten engaged, some persons are married, some persons they have a child or children, and they are wondering if a Chevening scholarship is right for them. So you write in the essay, now a part of you is still there saying, oh no, I may as well, I don't apply, I have kids, and if I get to interview stage and I tell them this, they may not accept me. Not so at all. As a mom, I will tell you it's not the easiest thing, but I was able to accept my Chevening scholarship even while being a parent. And what made it a little more bearable is that once I started my Chevening scholarship journey, was that I discovered that there were other parents as well who were equally as torn, equally seeing this as a sacrifice, but somehow managing to make the process work. So I will tell you that off the top of my head that parenthood, relationship status should not be a deterrent in terms of whether or not you choose to apply for a Chevening scholarship. So again, I just wanted to reiterate the quick points that, your age. Do not think of your age as something that should be limiting you now as you go through the final rungs of your Chevening scholarship application process. Your stage in terms of your career, where you are in terms of your career, whether or not you feel that you are where you want it to be and you feel a little hesitant or skeptical about moving away from what you think you really wanted to take up the Chevening scholarship or to actually apply for the Chevening scholarship. Just think of all the opportunities that can be opened up to you. At the end of the day, what stood out for me, I said, if you're able to attract clients and you're able to attract certain job opportunities prior to a Chevening scholarship, just think of the scope that will be opened for you after. It's like you've widened your scope, you've widened your perspective, you've widened your educational bracket. So it will really help you. And you're also learning a very multi-ethnic, very diverse environment. So you can't go wrong really when you're considering whether or not your career stage. In terms of stage again, if you're thinking about, if you're a parent or your relationship status may be limiting, or whether or not the Chevening Secretariat may think of that as something that will prevent you from getting the scholarship, again, do not think of this as something that should limit you. And subject choices, as I mentioned as well, if it is that you're thinking of diverting from what you have studied before, you're thinking of doing a pivot, that as well should not be seen as something that will be used against you. In fact, it can be something that can actually propel you ahead of the competition. I forgot to mention as well that in my year, when I applied, the area I studied, intercultural communication, international development, there were very few persons who would have applied for that. So there were many communicators, but I would have been the only person within my particular country, I believe, who would have applied for that specific thing. And then even when I met several other Chevening scholars who had gotten the scholarship within my particular year, it seemed to be a very niche area, so there weren't many people studying that. So do not hesitate to be bold. Do not worry that, it seems too far off from what you studied before. I've known communicators who went on to study sports management. I've known persons who did arts-based subject who moved on into business, or who moved on into agricultural, soil conservation, or some science-based subject. So again, it's about one, ensuring that you are qualified so that you can be accepted to the course of study, and two, that you can apply the principles of what you know from your previous area, and also how this pivot that you're doing will take you towards your new career goals. So do not be hesitant about a subject area that may be too far off from what you are currently studying. So that's it. I don't want to go on much further. I want to encourage everyone who is completing their application processes now, just to be confident. There are several videos out there in terms of essay writing tips. So I didn't really want to go into that, but I just really wanted to leave you with these tips as you're on the last rung, in terms of stop worrying about these things as being limiting, and in fact, think of them as things that should really be motivating you as you seek to pursue your Chevening scholarship journey. So thank you again for tuning in. Remember, if this is of value to someone, just forward it, share it, and drop a comment if you have any questions. I'll be available to answer them. And subscribe if you want to see more content around Chevening scholarship resources, anything about communication, culture, and collaboration. So thank you so much, and have a great one. Bye bye.